What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, I'm going to be running Rock Slide Pangoro. I warned you guys before the season started that Pangoro with Karate Chop and Rock Slide could be extremely potent in this meta, especially when people are not suspecting it. And I'm going to be pairing it with a Clodsire Anchor. That's going to be the core of this team. Clodsire obviously counters and beats most of all of Pangoro's weaknesses, and we're also utilizing a Drifblim safe swap right there to soften up anything on the in the meta that decides to swap into it, so Pangoro can aggressively farm down and get lots of energy. Rock slides are going to be landing today. I warned you, and now you're going to be thinking twice if you see a Pangoro in either the Great League or Ultra League, so I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, getting in the first battle, we have Pangoro on the lead versus Altaria. So we're going to swap out right away into the Drifblim, start getting ahead on energy. They're looking to load up and likely bail to catch the charge move, which is what they're doing into Toxapex, so I'm going to go ahead and look to go for Shadow Ball right here. Now, a Toxapex swap-in is kind of interesting. It gives me a tell that, because this isn't a great answer, right? To a Drifblim, it's just not. Poison Jab is doing resisted damage. Astonish on my end is doing a lot of neutral damage, which, by the way, if you guys haven't used any of the new Astonish users, or the users that got the updated Astonish, it's really powerful, and Drifblim is one of my favorites for it as we go for Icy Wind here. This is going to allow us to safely farm down and have energy on the back end. Now, with a Toxapex swap, and I have a feeling there's something else weak in the back to Drifblim, so maybe something like Whiscash, maybe something like Gastrodon, maybe a Fighter. Something else is back there, and the combination of Pangoro and Clodsire should be able to handle that. So we're going to let the Drifblim actually go down here. There's no reason to keep it alive. We're just going to go down to Dragon Breath. So we come in with Clodsire, and sure enough, there was a Machamp back there. That makes a lot of sense. Now, Machamp in this situation is going to have such a hard time. They're typically running with Cross Chop and Stone Edge, which are both resisted, which is why Clodsire is such a good core with Pangoro. Clodsire beats the Charmers. Clodsire beats the Flyers. Clodsire can beat the Fighters. It is very, very potent to have with a Pangoro, and as you guys can see, we're going to be taking advantage of that as we no-shield this next Cross Chop and go for the aggressive farm down. Now, obviously, Altaria here is going to be trying to fight the good fight, but Stone Edges are going to be making quick work of it, and we still have our Pangoro there with Rock Slide, so we do get the final shield from the Altaria. I have a feeling they're going to try to go for back-to-back, which is fine, right? I'm just going to let this go because Pangoro can close this out with Karate Chop and Rock Slide. So game one, we actually survive and we don't need to use our Pangoro, which goes to show just how strong these other Pokemon are as well in this meta as we take down the Altaria here. But Pangoro is going to start turning up the heat as we get through these sets of battles. Good game to my first opponent. Alright, moving to the next one, we have Pangoro versus Diggersby. So this is a really good lead for us. Obviously, our counter and close combat are going to be doing a lot of damage, and they swap into a Charm, Alolan, Ninetales right away, so we come in with the Clodsire. Now, what kind of worries me is this might be a double Charm team. Safe swapping a Charmer just screams there's two, right? So we have to be very careful with how we manage this game. So I want to make sure I have plenty of energy here on Clodsire because I need to soften up that Diggersby in case the Drifblim, boom, needs to take it down, which it can, right? With Icy Wind, it is super effective. But I wanted to make sure I have plenty of energy here to go for an Earthquake, really start chunking the health of the Diggersby and force them to throw as well. This is likely just going to be a Fire Punch because they're going to be doing super effective damage with Mud Shot anyways, and it is, so they will be farming me down. I don't get to the second Earthquake in time, which is fine. I come in with Drifblim, and it's actually Galvantula that swaps in, which is kind of rough, right? Galvantula can core break right here, but thankfully we do have Rock Slide, and it gets shielded. It gets shielded. To be fair, in their situation, a Night Slash should be shielded anyways. So they're going to go ahead and throw Lunge, but I'm going to keep loading up and go for another Rock Slide, which we are doing. It's going to do quite a bit of damage if it does land, even with the Lunge debuff. So we do get the shield number 2, and they're going to farm us down. Now, this is where Drifblim can be kind of deadly. All I need to do is really get to an Icy Wind to close this out, and they need 2 more Volt switches in order to do it. So there's one. They decide to swap out, which actually I think that was a slight misplay on my opponent looking at how much energy I would have had. I think they would have won on charge attack priority here, but now I capitalize on it, which is going to happen in Go Battle League, right? You and I are both going to be making mistakes. Our opponent's going to make mistakes, but whoever can capitalize on that is going to be coming out the end the victor. And how I capitalize on it here is make sure I fill up to 100 energy on Drifblim, and you know that by not seeing the bar go any higher, because now I can go for back-to-back charge moves as the combination of Shadow Ball and Icy Wind is at or below 100, right? So boom, down it goes, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. Alright, moving to the next one, we have Whiscash here on the lead. Now, a Whiscash lead obviously can do very well against Clodsire, so I'm going to stay in with Pangoro here, and Pangoro is a threat. Close combat is nothing to laugh at. It is a ton of neutral damage, and we don't need to, they might fear the bait of Night Slash, but I obviously have Rock Slide, so I'm just full sending close combats here, because as long as I can get shields or get them down, the Clodsire is going to have a better time. And just because Pangoro is the typical, like, it can beat a Bastion, I can beat a Registeel, doesn't mean Clodsire can't. So what we'd rather have, we actually get switch advantage here. They swap into a Alolan Marowak right away, so I swap out into Drifblim, and they counter swap into Dugong. So this is still going to be a very close game, because the Alolan Marowak now has an updated Bone Club. Bone Club is no longer garbage. It's actually incredibly strong. I have videos on the channel with both Kanto and Alolan Marowak utilized in Open Great League if you guys want to go check those out. But here, this is still going to be a close one. I have to let the Drifblim go down. I need to come in with Pangoro and load up on energy and hope that I can get the farm down here, but I don't. Oh, I could have used... Look at that health. He's mad too. You can see he's like, oh, come on, I should have punched harder. I have to let this go. I have to rely on Clodsire to close this out. And this is going to be incredibly close. Alolan Marowak has energy, but is down health. So I need to throw 3 Stone Edges in order to win this game. And they need to throw like 6... No, maybe not 6 Bone Clubs. Maybe 5 Bone Clubs. 5 or 6 Bone Clubs, right? 2 for the shield and 3 to take me out, or 2 to take me out. So this is going to be really close, which is why Alolan Marowak is so much better than it used to be. It's just strictly infinitely better with Bone Club update, because now you don't necessarily have to run or force to run Fire Blast in order to do damage, right? You now have coverage with Bone Club against stuff like Bastion, Registeel, Clodsire, all of which are very common in this meta. So we're going to be shielding the final Bone Club, not the final Bone Club, because they're about to have a back-to-back. So this is going to get incredibly close, as you guys can see. It doesn't really get any closer than this, but my Clodsire hangs on with 1 HP in a dream, and we get the Stone Edge off in time. So this is going to be a good game, very well played. Boom to my opponent. Woo, close one. Alright, moving into the next battle, we have Pangoro on the lead versus Clodsire. Okay, so this is a tough one. We got to swap out right away into our Drifblim. Yes, we are going to be hit with Stone Edge, but we can at least fire back with Icy Winds, and we know that the first Stone Edge is always the hardest hitting if they decide to stay in. The later ones are going to be less and less damage, but they actually decide to swap in with Feraligatr, which is good for us because that frees up Clodsire potentially in the back. It also allows us to put shield pressure down with Shadow Balls, they're actually Icy Winds, which we get right there. And now with the attack drop, I can actually let this Hydro Cannon go through, as I'm going to be able to survive, and now I can go for Shadow Ball here to force 2 shields or get myself Switch. I would ideally like 2 shields, which we do get. As Switch, I don't know if that's actually going to be an advantage for me. So we're going to come in with Pangoro, and then we're going to look to no shield and start loading up on energy. And we have to see what other Pokemon they have in the back, but by the looks of it right here, I'm not going to be able to farm down in time, so I have to give up my final shield. And this is where you need to pay very close attention, because it's 5 Shadow Claws. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to be able to farm down in time, so I didn't throw. And we are looking good right here. And now, in a no-shield situation, we see that there is a Jumpluff in the back. So I'm going to throw back-to-back Rock Slides. And what's interesting is I had the thought that my opponent sees Rock Slide and they're going to counter swap, which they do. So I should have held. But they do counter swap, so great play by them. But this still allows me, with Poison Sting, I'm not worried, build back up with Rock Slide, and then try to counter swap in my own Clodsire and go for Earthquake here. In this matchup, Earthquake is super effective damage, but it's not enough to one-shot. But there's so much health already missing from their Clodsire that mine will one-shot from this range. It's going to be, we're talking fine line here. It's going to be close, but boom, we get it. And then the Jumpluff in the back is going to be going down to the Stone Edge Rock Slide Wombo combo here. Acrobatics as well is the move to watch out for, which they do have, but my Clodsire once again survives with a little bit of health, and we are able to get the Stone Edge off, and then counter swap into our Pangoro to go for the Rock Slide to close this one out. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. Rock Slide obviously came in clutch here, right? That chip damage that it was able to do was really crucial, so good game to my opponent. All right, moving to the next one, we have Pangoro versus Malamar here on the lead. Malamar is another Pokemon that I need to try out this season, as it is, it got some really nice upgrades. Now, Malamar, outside of Hyper Beam, is, I mean, I guess there is superpower I need to fear, but I decided to no-shield the foul play there, which was a risky play by me, right? Superpower would basically one-shot us, but I called the bait, and it was in fact true. So I'm gonna go ahead and shield here. This is where they could go for superpower to get a shield, but they go for another foul play instead. So I'm gonna go ahead and load up to double close combat, and then just go for the one shot. If they want to give up 2 shields, fine. I'll just delete it with double charge move, but they decided to let it go. And now we get to see what they're gonna swap in with. Plenty of energy on Pangoro. I'm just hoping it's not a Charmer. And it's going to be Toxapex. So I'm going to safe swap into Drifblim, and it's actually going to be Carbink in the back. So, yeah, this is a good game. Clodsire in this situation is a mountain too tall to climb, right? The Carbink greatest fear, right, is a Bastiodon or a Registeel or a Clodsire. Like, those 3, it just does not want to see because it can't do any damage against them. And, with the who is in the back, the oh my gosh, the name is escaping me, the Toxapex, there it is, the Toxapex in the back is gonna get destroyed by Earthquake, right? So Clodsire is just so good this season. Obviously, whenever we have a meta in the Great League, there's always gonna be a best Pokemon. In the past, it's been Azumarill or Medicham or Registeel. It has always, or Trevenant or Walrein, like, there's always been something that is always dominant. That will always be the case. What's important, I think, is that as we go from season to season, the dominance kind of shifts, right? There's little shifts of power without making the Pokemon, like, completely horrible. So Clodsire before the season update was still good, right? Nothing changed. It didn't get a massive update. Poison Sting got a little bit more damage, I believe, but it wasn't too crazy. But now Clodsire, because of this meta, is just so incredibly strong. And we're going to close this out with Pangoro. Boom! And that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Alright, we got Pangoro versus Talonflame on the lead. I'm smiling for a reason. We're going to swap out into Drifblim. Oh no! It's a flyer. I don't have coverage for a flyer. No, don't try to maintain switch advantage. They come in with Ferrothorn here, which is obviously a really good matchup for us, especially when ahead on energy, because we can safely go for Icy Winds and just put so much pressure down. I'm hoping they start shielding, because ideally what I want to do is have Pangoro farm down with a 1-0 shield advantage, so we'll have to see if they go for it. But if they don't, that is still fine by me. They let it go. Maybe they misclicked. Maybe they didn't mean to come in with Ferrothorn, because Drifblim can just dominate that matchup. Thunder is not a great move. They came in with Drapion. So it was a misclick looking at this specific situation. Drapion was clearly the better answer because of Crunch and Poison Sting. Boom, we get taken down. So we're going to come in with Pangoro now. Obviously, Clodsire does very well against Talonflame in the back. It's a Rock Slide. Oh, no. They decide to shield anyways. So, I'm sorry to bust your bubble there, or burst your bubble. You guys were expecting the Rock Slide to land. I was too, to be completely fair in that kind of situation. Talonflame could easily let a Night Slash go through, but the Rock Slide I was hoping was going to sneak through a 2-0 shield. Could you imagine? That would have been so good. But Clodsire here is going to be able to get the final shield, and now I'm in a very, very tough position because I need to close this game out with Pangoro. So I let this go. I know that Talonflame, I believe it's 3 Incinerates, which, by the way, its animation is weird. Are you guys noticing that? This isn't Fire Spin, it's Incinerate, but it's flying differently. Yeah, you see it's flying around instead of doing that. But anyways, we get the Rock Slide that we wanted. Boom! Down it goes, and now the Shadow Drapion coming in is going to be going for Aqua Tail here. Pangoro is going to be hanging on. Karate Chop is the new meta, and Close Combat is going to be taking out the Shadow Drapion for a beautiful Pangoro endgame sweep. Boom! Down it goes, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Alright, moving to the next one, we have Pangoro versus Alolan Marowak. This is kind of tough. Alolan Marowak can actually do pretty well when given an advantage, and I mess up here. I completely mess up, and I realized I mess up because I throw Close Combat and they don't shield. I'm like, oh no, I should have loaded up on energy and then thrown, or even better, come in with Drifblim and just shield the Icy Wind, because what I need is health and energy instead of down shield advantage and low health Pangoro. So I am in a bad place. I know this because I'm an Alolan Marowak player. That is my Pokemon, right? I know in this situation, this Alolan Marowak could sweep my whole team if played correctly. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. And the opponent knows it. So we're in a tough position. I got to come in with Clodsire now. I don't know what they have in the back, but if we saw a Seaking safe swap, my fear is that it's going to be another water. And so I come in with Clodsire here. We're going to look to go for Stone Edge, and this is so tough. Alolan Marowak is so good this season. If you misplay against it or you capitalize with it, right? I'm telling you guys, Alolan Marowak is going to be sweeping teams. The only thing it really needs to look out for with its current moveset is something like Mandibuzz, right? That's going to be tough. Maybe even Malamar. It's just those dark types that's going to be especially Mandibuzz with resisting, and it is Shadow for Alligator in the back, so I am like done for. As we go for Stone Edge here, it lands, and I'm like, oh, I go for Rock Slide, and I'm quickly realizing, what do you guys see a win con? I see it, and I realize I messed up here. My win con is just going straight fast moves, because the Feraligatr has to get 5 Shadow Claws. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we win with 1 HP and a dream, so that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Alright, moving to the next one. We have Drifblim on the lead. Now, I made a mistake here. I always preach, read what your opponent is doing and not doing, right? My opponent is not swapping out of a Pangoro lead matchup, which is a dark type with Night Slash and Rock Slide. They're staying in and throwing, which I should be reading that they are weak in the back to Pangoro, but instead I decide to stay in, thinking that Clodsire is going to handle whatever's weak in the back with that matchup. That's my number one mistake. As we land Rock Slide here, they go for the aggressive farm down, and I get another Rock Slide off. In this situation, I should have swapped out and recognized, because now there's a Dunsparce. And Pangoro can handle Dunsparce, but Dunsparce with Drill Run and Rock Slide can handle Clodsire and Drifblim. So this is a very tough situation. I'm going to stay in with a no shield here. I'm wondering if my Drifblim, and they actually swap in with a Licky Licky, so clearly double normal in the back. Had I read correctly that my opponent, it's weird that they're staying in against a Pokemon that's taking super effective damage. There's a reason for it. Always trust that instinct, that gut feeling that you guys have that something's fishy. Why is it? I should have swapped into... I shielded the Earthquake correctly as well, which is great. I should have swapped into Drifblim Mirror, right? And taken it from there, because then I would have seen its normal types and I could have played this a lot better. Now, thankfully, Drifblim is resisting Body Slam, so I'm just going to keep loading up on energy because I know that the Dunsparce is coming back in and I need to soften this thing up. The unfortunate thing is that Rollout is such a good charge move this season, or fast move I should say this season, that the Licky Licky has an Earthquake, and I don't think I really have a win con anymore. While Clodsire is amazing and meta this season, it falls short against Pokemon that are this bulky that it can only do neutral damage against, who have super effective charge moves in terms of Drill Run and Earthquake. So I decide to shield here. Maybe in hindsight I should be no shielding the Drill Run and shielding the Earthquake. I think that is probably the better play, but to be fair, the Dunsparce is, yeah, it's, and I mean, to be fair, the Licky Licky would have gotten to another charge move. It's just, it's a tough situation. Boom, I go down. That is going to be a good game, very well played to my opponent. Cool team on their end, but I misread at the beginning. And overall, this team was a lot of fun, very strong. Rock Slide obviously is taking people by surprise. Think about the bugs, think about the fires, think about the flyers, even some of the charmers, right? You have that super effective coverage that they aren't necessarily prepared for, which is really cool. And then pairing it with Clodsire and Drifblim makes it very strong and have great coverage against this meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.